For today, a little bit of a TheraBand. You just need a TheraBand and a chair for a bit of balance and a bit of for some of the exercises. I'll be giving variations for the exercises, so just try to work out the one that you find suits you well. Okay, so I want it to be challenging but safe. That's the key. If you can do it really easy, that's okay, but you won't have too much adaptation in terms of training the muscle and nervous system to adapt to that type of training. But if it's too hard and you're having to grab onto your chair or something the whole time, then again, you won't actually be teaching the body how to counterbalance a little bit. All right. So today we'll work on a bit of balance, bit of gait as per usual on a Tuesday, and focus on strengthening some of the muscles that are important for balance and gait. We're going to start off with a little bit of the breath work as well. So today we're going to all aim to do our starting point. Sorry, I'll just pop this away. Standing, if that's okay. So if you do get a bit tired throughout and you need to have a rest early, that's fine. All righty, cool. So we're going to keep building on a bit of the principles of, as we inhale into our abdominal area and into our chest, we want to think about expanding the body. And as we exhale, we're generally going to be making our body a little bit shorter. For today, we're going to add in a little bit of balance and make this a bit more of a challenge for the starting exercise. Okay, so it's going to be slightly different to the last couple of weeks. In the last few weeks, we've been doing big inhales and opening up and exhales and curling down. What I'd like you to try today is inhale up. Then as we exhale, we're just going to squat and squeeze our shoulder blades together. Okay? So we're going to go for a good 40 seconds. And if you want to add in a little bit of a challenge, you can do a bit of a calf raise. So essentially, level 1 is going to look like this. Level 2 will look like this. Onto my toes. Alrighty, so everyone get set, find your nice strong stance, roughly hip width apart, and off we go for about 40 seconds, starting now. Big inhale, reach, exhale, little squat, pull your shoulder blades together. Inhale, exhale, breathe it all the way out. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, and in, and out, in, out, 3 more, out, last 2, in, and out. And last one, in and out. Nice job. Let the body loosen up a little bit. Good work. All right, so we're just going to start by warming up some of our joints. That will be very important for our activities today. The first one is our calves. So what I'm doing here is just raising up with one leg and shifting my weight onto the other leg. Now, if you want to challenge yourself a little bit here, you can try doing it without letting your shoulders lose their level, meaning not letting your body swing side to side. We're staying a bit more engaged through the tummy. If you're new to this class or any of my classes, some of the components I've talked about, and just keep doing this with your calves while I'm speaking, is trying to keep our pelvis and our ribs in line with each other. So making sure that we're not overarching too much or not slouching too much. We're going to have a bit of a lift and keeping our ribs stacked over our hips. Good. All right, we can give our calves a little bit of a rest. I'm going to turn side on just so you can see me better. You keep facing the way you are. I'm just going to warm up through the knee a little bit now. So we're going to have one foot in front And we're just bending that knee forwards and backwards. Bending it over the ankle as far as you feel comfortable, okay? So I don't want you pushing through any pain or going to a range where you don't feel you have stability. But you can, beauty of this is you can start to ease into it a little bit. We're going to wake up a little bit of the front of the shin too now. So what we're going to add in is a bit of a progression, and you may need your chair for a bit of balance here. Is we're going to push forwards onto that knee, and then we're going to come back and raise the foot up. Squeeze through your quads. Try to engage a little bit through your shin. So it's down, bend, back, raise. Down and bending, back and raising. And I don't mind if your heel's coming up a little bit here, provided you're keeping good contact with the ground. And just getting all the little balance centers of our body starting to wake up here. Nice job. I think that's enough rocking for one side. We'll go to the other side now. So to start off with, just bending the knee forwards and backwards, not lifting the foot yet. Just waking up some of the quads, potentially stretching the back of your calves if they're a little bit stiff. And we're just telling our body how to control these particular positions and movements. And as we start to get into some more complex ones, they'll be a bit more prepared, a bit more ready for it. So you can start lifting that front foot now as you rock back. Try to squeeze through the inner thigh, raise up through the outer shin or the front of your shin. Moving back and forth. And last one. Nice job. Give it a little bit of shake off. Work. Hips are going to be next. So we're going to work through the front of our hips. And we'll do a little bit more around the knees shortly. But for now, we're just going for a march. So as you're marching, there's two ways you can march, I guess. Well, there's many ways, but one is doing it fast and going for a bit more of a cardio aspect. Today, we're aiming to go a little bit slower. Basically, as slow as you need to be the person, or you're the one who dictates when that foot goes back down. So what that means is I could lift it up and then drop back down, but I'm lifting and then I'm dictating when that foot goes back down. I'm keeping my balance here. If you need to use a little bit of a stick or a chair, that's completely fine. Just remember, have it there for safety, but don't rely on it all the time. So try to go softer hand over time. You may need to grip it hard to begin with, and then eventually you can just have a finger on it. After a couple of sessions, you no longer need it. You've actually adapted and improved your balance. Good work. Now we're going to go for some side stepping. So side stepping is just going to start waking up more of the muscles around the outside of the hips. We've done the front, done some around the knee and ankle. And shortly we'll do a bit behind the back as well. Now, those of you who'd like to challenge your balance a little bit more, you can try to hold for a sec or two. So that's optional. If you want to, you're just going onto one leg for a little bit here. Otherwise, just continue side stepping. And again, with that one leg, you need to dictate how long you're holding for. Good job. All right, little rest. The final one we'll be doing, you may need your chair for this depending on your balance. I'll bring my chair out. I won't be using it after I demonstrate it. But we're just going for some curls. So if you need to, use your chair. If not, you're aiming to stand, be able to kick that heel up towards your bottom. Now the key here, I'll come a little bit closer so you can maybe see my knees better. As I'm curling my leg up, I'm trying not to let this knee come forwards like this. So I want you to keep the thigh back as you curl. And if you haven't done this before, you might get a bit of a cramp in the hamstrings. That's okay. You just need to let your knee come forwards a little bit then. But try to keep that leg in line with the other leg if possible. And we're just curling up and down. Find a bit of that squeeze at the top. Control back down. Good. Let's switch sides. Taking the weight through the leg, curling up, controlling down. Trying to get a bit of a squeeze through that back thigh, through your glute. And still keeping our hips and ribs in line with each other. Not letting that lower back completely arch or the stomach muscles completely shut off. We want a little bit of engagement here. Up and down, get that squeeze. And stopping there. Good work. All right, have a bit of a seat. If you want to grab a quick drink, you can. Good job. So we're going a little bit more fast-paced than last week today. And the first exercise we're going to be doing is the sit to stand exercise. If you have a band, please grab it now. We'll be tying the band around our knees. So what you can do is bring your feet hip width apart. And one way to check if you're roughly hip width apart is between your feet. If you drew a line from the inside of your left shoe or foot, inside of the right, and then did a perimeter of that, you should have roughly a square, okay? So you might have a bit more of a rectangle lengthways, but I don't want one horizontally. It might be a little bit of a rectangle. I don't really want a rectangle vertically. That's telling you your feet are probably a bit too close. If you've got a very big horizontal rectangle, your feet, for now, for this exercise, are a little bit too wide. So you want to have roughly a square between your feet. Or another easy measure is if you put your fists together, then bring them between your knees. They should be able to fit pretty comfortably between the knees. Not a massive gap, but they can fit in quite comfortably. All right, from there, bring your knees together. So for all of these, for the next movements, if you don't have a band, you're just going to go through the movements without resistance, okay? And then tie a knot around that band. If you've got a heavy one, you might want to make it a little bit loose. Now to start off with, we're going to sit up really tall. And we're just going to aim to push those knees out just a little bit wider than our ankles. Hold that for 3 seconds. And then control back in. So up tall, pushing knees out, holding, controlling back in. Now, as you do this, I want you to think about trying to squeeze your bottom a little bit. Get some engagement through the outside of your bottom. If you don't have a band, you can practice just trying to push into your hands a little bit. So you might have to lean forwards. And then you're creating your own resistance. But essentially, we're aiming to engage some of the outer hip muscles here. They're very important, play a big role in stabilizing your hip. And the hip is obviously the biggest joint in the body and very important for keeping you balanced. So if we've got weakness or inactivity through the hip and foot, it's likely you're going to find it's quite hard to keep you balanced. So just pushing out, 3-second holds, controlling back in. Let's go for one more. And in, good. All right, so now we're going to practice the standing and sitting with a focus on hip and knee alignment. So what we're going to start with is just bringing those knees apart so that the kneecap lines up with the middle of your foot or middle of your shoe. And as you stand and sit, it may want to cave in. So you need to think about keeping that out. And as a demonstration, you can use your hands to counterbalance if you need to. So we're keeping those knees out, pushing up, keeping those knees out as we sit down. All right, so we're going to go with that, taking our time, roughly 40 seconds to a minute. If you need to rest at any stage, please do so. Okay, and if you find it's quite hard to get up from the chair you're using, whereby you're having to really reach forwards, then try get some harder pillows or like a thick book and just pop them on your chair so that you have a little bit more elevation, and then you can get up with a tiny bit more ease, and as doing so, get some more repetitions, make it a bit easier to achieve these exercises. All right, so knees out, getting ready, and off we go, up and down, focusing on just keeping that alignment. It's not about speed right now. Okay, so you can probably do more repetitions, but we're just concentrating on, can we keep those knees out? Can we keep those feet grounded? So try to keep some pressure through the heel, the outside of your foot, and underneath the big toe. We're about halfway, everyone, doing awesome. So this band is going to be a fair bit of resistance throughout today's session. And if you need to take it off, if you're starting to get soreness, please do so. If you're getting fatigued, that's fine. Take it off. Come and go for one more. And sitting down. Nice job. Good. Just bring your feet together. Give them a little bit of a rest there. Done very well. So what we're going to work on now is trying to build on some of those muscle groups that we were just working on before. We're going to stand up. Now you may want to use your chair again. We're going to work on the front of the hip and the back. And basically we're going to see how we go with replicating a lot of the activities we've just done, but with a bit of resistance around the knees, okay? So I have the chair ready. For the first exercise, you might be okay, but you may need to have it just side on. And what we're going to practice is trying to take a step and stick that stance. So what's happening here, the band is wanting to kind of buckle my back leg in. So my glute and the muscles that help to extend my back leg have to stay active. Through the front, a little bit of my hip flexors and quads are working as well. So what you're going to aim to do here is just step forwards, keep some engagement through the back leg, squeeze your bum, and then come back, and then alternate. Squeeze the bum and come back. It's a little bit of a skill to it, whereby if you bring your feet together all the way, the band's probably going to drop down. So keep a little bit of hip width apart, step, and back. Stay wide. So all these outer hip muscles don't get to shut off. And the back glute muscles can fire up every time you step forward. You want to drive that back knee behind you, squeeze through your body. Good. Keep that going. So we're stepping, engaging, step, engage. Almost done. Let's go for one more. Nice job. Coming back to standing. If you haven't already guessed it, the next one is going sideways. So now we've got resistance as well. Okay, so you're going to think about just taking a side step and together, side step and together. What I'd like you to think about doing here is trying to keep your knees roughly over your ankles, not letting them cave in like this as you're stepping. That is not good. Well, that's what we're trying to improve upon. If that's happening to you, keep those knees wide so you can get some of the outer glute muscles to wake up here. And just keep your bottom back a little bit as well. So if you sit your bum slightly behind your heels, you will work these outer glute muscles. You're going to go for another 20 seconds. You can rest if you need to. Those who want an extra challenge, you're going to try step and see if you can hold a little bit. So only going for this one if you're feeling really confident with your balance. So really start firing up those outer glute muscles. Go one more each side. Last one. Good work. All right. Brilliant work, everyone. Have a seat, have a bit of a rest. Good. You can have a little breather. You're going to do some seated marching now. So if possible, if you're able to get the band that you've tied around your feet, kind of around your laces. If it's a bit of a muck around, don't worry about it, just do a body weight. So you're just taking the band off otherwise. So if that's my feet, it's around them like so. So if you're wearing shoes, as I am, the band's wrapped around my shoe laces and underneath. But we'll just take another 20 seconds or so. If you're struggling with that, don't stress. We can just not use the band for this as well. Essentially what you're going to aim to do, get your back a little bit supported with your chair, and you're just going to aim to drive up with one leg while keeping the other one down. So it doesn't have to be massive tension, but you're raising one leg up, squeezing through your hip flexors, controlling back down and switching. So if you're ever walking uphill or up steps, raising up the knee first, getting some activation through the front of the hip flexor muscles that we're training now, is very important to then help produce more force through the back of the hip, through the glutes, through the extensor muscles. And we want to have some strong hip flexors, as do we want to have some strong extensors and glutes. Let's go for one more each side. Last one. Nice job, everyone. Just kick that band off and give it a bit of a rest. And just, again, have 30 seconds if you like to. Just grab a drink, have a bit of a breather, and we'll move into the next phase of the session. All right, so just a tiny break. Just going to let our legs recover a little bit after doing that strength work. I'm going to start getting into a bit more of the balance stuff. All right, standing up. So we're going to touch back on some of the foot positions now that we can work on to challenge our balance a little bit, and some different activities that will help strengthen up the muscles that are important for balance. First one we're going to have a look at is doing that split stance. So you're going to aim to stand roughly heel toe or close to. So heel toe with your feet, if that's your left foot and that's your right foot, that's what heel toe looks like. That's a semi heel toe. And if you're finding that's a bit difficult, just stand with a bit of a split stance. Okay? So you're going to sort of jump between. I want everyone to find what level works for them, which is still challenging. And then we're all going to start with that now. So just pick your front foot, standing either semi or a little bit off to the side or a full heel toe. Good. Now we're going to start challenging a bit of movement. We're going to challenge a little bit of our brain and see how our feet and all our balance centers hold up. Okay, so we've done a little bit of the head turns. We're going to start with that. We're just going to aim to look to our right and back to center. Looking to your left, back to center. Looking down at your feet, to center, and up towards the ceiling, and back to center. Cool. Now I'm going to throw all of you an imaginary ball through the screen, and you've just caught it, and we're going to hold it. I'll go, nice catch. I'll hold it in my left hand, you hold it in your right so we can mirror each other. So everyone's holding it in their right hand. I'm going left just to make it like a mirror. Bring it out to the side. Good. We're going to raise it up and pass it to our other hand and bring that out to the side. And we're watching it. Raise it up. Overhead. Pass it to the other hand. Bring it down. Good. Let's bring it to center. Going to hold it in the middle. Going to bring the ball behind our back. Pass it to the other hand. And back to center. And other way. Bring it behind your back. Pass it to the other hand. Back to center. Nice job. And last one. Just throw it up. And still up there. You've done a pretty big throw. Everyone's pretty strong. Still going. And it's coming back down, 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 and catch it. Keep your balance. Good work. Little rest. Then switch our feet over. So whatever foot was in front, make the other one in front now. If legs get a bit tired, you need to sit down throughout this. By all means, do so. All right, so just finding that point, holding for a little bit. And now doing our head turns nice and slow. So turning to your right, back to center, to your left, back to center, down at the ground, up towards the ceiling, and back to center. Good, find your ball, hopefully you didn't lose it. You only get one. I'll hold it out to the side. We're going to hold it in your right hand. Going to raise it up. Pass it to your left. Bring it down. Keep watching the ball. Raise it up. Switch hands. Lower it down. Nice job. Bring it behind. Once you finish that, we're bringing it behind our back. Switching hands. Back to the middle. And behind our back. Switching hands. Back to the middle. And one more. Big throw. Keep your balance. Watching the ball in the air. Still looking up at the ceiling. Still up there. Take it there, here it comes, come back down and catching it. Keep your balance. Good work. Shake your legs off. Grab a quick drink if you like one. Well done, everyone. We might have a little bit of a rest. We were standing for a while there, so I'll give our legs a small break if you need. Have a bit of a seat. And then we'll work on some more stuff very shortly. So you can grab a drink if you'd like one. Good work. So yeah, with balance, there's all different components that you can train. Just standing there on heel toe is building on what's called static balance. How well you can keep your center of gravity over your base of support without doing anything else. We started to play with a little bit of reactive balance there and dynamic balance, having to slightly move our limbs or look at different things while keeping our balance. So it's very important to train all aspects, but sometimes you might be walking on a bit of an unstable surface and you're okay when you're watching it, but then you turn to talk to your friend and you lose your footing. So you want your feet to start being able to react to the ground, tell your brain what's going on without you having to see it so much or think about it so much. And that's what we're starting to try to train a little bit of now. Alrighty. You might need your chair for the next one. We're going to try to build a little bit more strength through the calf muscles. So have your chair available if needed. And we're going to look at doing different forms of calf raises. So I'll face you. I'm just going to show you, like, that's obviously how you're going to use your chair if you need it. But so you can see my feet. So have your chair there, but so you can see my feet, I'll face towards you. So we're just going to start off with the standard calf raise. Feet underneath our knees, knees underneath our hips. And in terms of our tummy, we're thinking about pulling our pubic bone towards our sternum a little bit, drawing in our lower tummy a little bit. So if you get a bit of tension around your trunk, it should help down the chain. Same with if you create good tension in your feet, it's going to help up the chain into the hips and back as well. Alrighty, so from here, try to splay your toes. If you're barefoot, really try to get a nice spread through the toes the best you can. And then we're going to aim to lift our toes. So what we're balancing on is our heel, the outside of our foot, and the fat pad underneath the toes. So that, think about a footprint. That's what I want you to try to stand on right now. Just see if you can hold that. Get a feel for how your feet essentially feel and if it's even. So try to get the outside down, then the pad underneath the big toe or the knuckle of the big toe. Just hold there. Good. Now we're going to shift our weight a little bit forward to push through that pad and then try to grip with the toes. See if you can hold. Do your best to not let your ankles collapse outwards like this. We're keeping a bit of a squeeze around the thighs and then control back down. That's one rep. We're going to take our time with these. We're going to do about 5 or 6. But I want you to take them slow. So we'll end up working for at least a minute. All right, so again, lift the toes up, but get connection with the sole of the foot. Shift your weight, so you're getting a bit more pressure through the sole, the ball, and then push up onto the toes, grip the ground and hold. Control back down, nice work. And again, lift those toes up. Good pressure on the soles. Weight shifts forwards a bit more into the ball of the foot. Raise up, splay the toes, grip the ground, and hold. Control back down. All right. Because I'm seeing a lot of stable bodies in the camera, I'm going to give you an extra little version you can add in. And all it is a bit of a head turn. So now you'll really see how much shifting your head can influence stability at the ankle. So same thing, only do this if you're feeling like you got the first version down pat. It's quite easy or quite comfortable. Then you can add in the head turns. So we're going to lift our toes, shift the weight onto the ball of our feet, raise up. And if you're not doing the head turns, just stay here. If you are, try to hold that. Look to your left, back to center. Keep those toes connected. Look to your right, back to center. Control back down. How'd that feel? Feet are rolling out. Yeah, keep gripping. So keep concentrating on the pressure underneath your feet. And if you keep that consistent, you'll stay balanced. All right, 2 more reps. Toes up, shift the weight onto the balls, raise up, look to one side, keep your thighs nice and tight, squeeze them on, look to the other side, back to center, roll back down. Nice job. You go for our last one. Shift your weight forwards, push through the balls of your feet, raising up, grip the ground, and looking one way to center, other way to center, and back down. Nice job. We're just going to use our chair now to give our calves a little bit of a stretch. If you have a wall or a bench available, that's even better. Essentially, if there's a wall, you're going to put one leg back and just stretch through the calf. If you're using your chair, make sure you're pushing down against it. And you're just going to slightly try to get a little bit of a stretch through that back leg. The other way you can stretch the calf, so there's 2 main calf muscles. One crosses the back of the knee. So that means you have to have a straight leg to generally stretch it. The other one attaches around the back of the shin to the heel. So to stretch that up, the other calf muscle, a bent knee, is going to be more effective. So what you can you can jump between is going between a straight leg and getting the higher calf muscle. So in this circumstance, I'm stretching my left leg. Or you can slightly bend that knee, push the heel towards the ground, and now I'm stretching the lower and deeper calf muscle. Good. We'll just come back to center. Now, a great exercise I can't really demonstrate here, but for at home, if you have a really thick book or a step with rails, you can have, if that's the step or that's your book, you can have your foot, so the ball of your foot, on the edge and use that to do calf raises off. And that's a great exercise for gaining length and strength through the calf muscles and the ankle. So if this was my step, I'd have my feet up on it, pushing up, lowering back down to get a bit of a stretch. Okay, so these are good little things you can just add into your day sometimes. If you do have stairs, once a day when you're about to go up them, just pump out 10 calf raises on the edge of them. If you do that once a day, most days, you'll start getting more strength and length through the back of your legs. Alrighty, let's stand back up. If you're having you've sat down, we're going to do a bit of the clock face drill again. So we did this last week. And we're going to practice a bit of mobility and strength around the hips. So, you're going to think about us standing in a clock face. We're right in the middle. Just bring this down a tad. I'll move the chair out of the way for us. All right, that's better. So, in front of you, you have 12 o'clock. Behind you, you have 6 o'clock. And then we have 3 and 9 off to your sides. So for me, 3 is on my right side, 9's on my left. Same with you, but it's going to look opposite in the camera. We're going to start with our left leg as our stance leg and our right leg as our tapping leg. So when I call out a number, for example, 3 o'clock, you're aiming to tap 3 o'clock, but to what extent will differ per person. So level 1 is kind of just stepping to 3 and stepping back. Level 2 is stepping but taking less weight. Level 3 is just tapping. And if you're feeling really courageous, then you can add in just really trying to tap as far as you can. So for today, I want everyone to try to work around a 2, where you're putting soft weight, or a 3, where you're getting a tap. On your stance leg, I want you to do your best to not let your knee cave in. So for example, especially when you're going to the side, not letting that knee come in, trying to keep it out over the ankle, kind of what we practice when we're doing the seated band work. Alrighty, so we're going to aim for about a minute. Off we start, off we go, and let's tap out to number 3. And bring it back. Let's go to 6. And back, good. Let's go to 4. Challenge your brain. Try to do it before I do. 12. 11. Feeling you got a little bit of twist in you. Good. Let's try 8. So you're going to come back and around slightly. Now we're getting tricky. 2. All right, now I'm going to call out 3 numbers. You have to remember them. I want you to come back to center every time. 3, 7, 4. I can't tell if you got it, but well done if you did. Cool, that was a minute on that leg. We'll switch legs. All right, getting set. Off we go to 12. Back, good. Out to 9. Keep that knee out. 6. 5. Good. 1. 8. 10. 11, 5, 8. Good job. Give it a bit of a shake off. Loosen up your legs. And we'll just finish. We don't have as much time at the end now for some breath work, but let's all, while just standing now, let's try to take a nice inhale. And we're going to hold it for a little bit. And then all you're aiming to do is just breathe out longer than your inhale. So you're trying to exhale longer than the inhale. So for example, breathing in, holding, and breathing out. So for me, 4 seconds in, 2-second hold, 6-second out, feels pretty comfortable. You may just do roughly 2 seconds in and 4 seconds out. So let's just do that for one last minute. While we're standing, you can close your eyes if you'd like to. It will add a little bit of a balance element, plus allow you to get a bit more focused on your breath. And off we go, just taking a comfortable inhale, trying to breathe down and out into your ribs, holding for a couple of seconds, and then controlling that out breath so it's nice and slow. And again. Breathing in. Holding for that little bit. Nice, slow exhale. Just go for 2 more cycles. Last one. Good job, everyone. So the breathing is quite nice if you're doing something that energizes you and you want to keep that energy, then don't worry about the breath work at the end. It is to help relax you and bring you back down to center. Sometimes it's fun to be a bit woken up, and yeah, I guess increased energy levels. So use it as you like, but I like just showing that technique to everyone. Hope you had a bit of fun today. Thank you everyone for getting amongst it and popping your cameras on as well. And I will see you all next Tuesday, I think, for what might be our last Tuesday. I'll confirm that, but thank you very much. And I'll be running one on Thursday if you're keen to join into another one of my sessions.
Thank you.
If you've got any questions, no worries. Thank you. Got any questions, let me know. All righty, everyone. I've got to go, but thank you, and I'll see you again.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye.